how you doing? Nice to meet you. Nice, good to see you again. Yeah.
Great to see you.
Good.
How is it going?
Very good. We're working hard out here, questioning and going up to everybody. But how are you enjoying the RNC?
I'm loving it. I'm spending a lot of time at the Oasis. Have you been there?
No, I've never been there.
You should come.
I heard you have nap rooms in there.
Yeah. Do you have the address?
No, but I'll definitely find out.
Get it from somebody on my team and come there.
Yeah, I'll definitely. One thing I wanted to do is to give you a fair chance to open up about something that a lot of people online have been talking about, because I'm friends with Jesse Ventura, and he told me that you asked him to write an article, and he wrote one about architects and engineers calling for a new investigation. Now, he says that you censored him. I don't know if this is true, but if it is, why did that happen?
Well, actually, if you go backstage on the Huffington Post as a blogger, and Jesse Ventura did have a blogging password, you see that we do not accept conspiracy theories. So like people who think that 9/11 was an inside job or anything like that, we don't post that, because we believe that there's so much that can be truly investigated that's based on facts, and we don't want to do speculative conspiracy theories.
I totally respect that, but what do you think about architects and engineers not saying it was an inside job, but saying that we need a new investigation, that there needs to be more evidence? I don't know if you're aware, but a lot of the victims' family members' questions weren't answered, a lot of survivors, and there's also a lot of government whistleblowers within the government that came out about a lot of interesting things about 9/11.
Saying that it's an inside job? You mean saying that it was
No, saying that we need a new investigation and that a lot of the questions weren't answered.
Yeah, I think, it's always very hard for people to bring closure to things, whether it was the Kennedy assassination or 9/11. But very often, simple explanations are sufficient.
I don't know about sometimes, because the government did cover it up. The 9/11 Commission said they were set up to fail. It was based on torture. There was a lot of foreknowledge. There was a lot of foreknowledge of the attacks of 9/11 before it happened. There's a lot of information that a lot of people haven't been talking about that I would definitely suggest you check out, and also a lot of government whistleblowers. I really appreciate your time. If you ever get a chance, definitely get a chance to check out Architects and Engineers. They're very professional people. They're scientists. They have a lot of questions, and I think those questions deserve to be answered, and I think there's a lot more. We may disagree, but I respect your opinion. I respect your time. Thank you. Thank you so much.
We continue our coverage of the latest case of censorship in American media. Jesse Ventura's article on the events of September 11th was banned by the news website, the Huffington Post. For more on this, we're joined live by RT's Anastasia Churkina from New York, who sat down to discuss the issue with Ventura himself. Anastasia, the Huffington Post deemed Ventura's article too controversial, and we've actually posted this article on RT's website. What was Jesse Ventura what did he really write about? Was it really that explosive?
Well, Christine, apparently for the Huffington Post it was. This article was called What Really Happened on September 11th, and it looked at yet another group of people in the United States, about 1,000 architects and scientists and engineers who were in a range of people to sign a new petition for a new investigation into the events of 9/11. And basically, the questions that this article raises were, how is it possible that 200,000 steel towers came down in a matter of just seconds? Could it have been a controlled demolition? How come this is the only event in history when such huge skyscrapers were able to go down in just a matter of seconds, basically from what the official version said was just fire damage? So this article just really brings up these questions that people have been asking throughout the last almost 10 years, and just asking questions that people want answered.
Was there any explanation, though, given by news editors who banned this 9/11 article, or did it just disappear into thin air?
Well, Christine, what happened was the Huffington Post apparently actually asked Jesse Ventura to contribute by writing an article on any sort of topic. And first they posted this on their front page, and then just very quickly it disappeared into thin air. An editor's note actually appeared on the page where the article was, saying that Huffington Post editorial policies don't allow coverage of conspiracy theories, including 9/11.
And you were able to sit down with Ventura last night to ask him about this whole ordeal. How is he reacting to this?
Well, Christine, Jesse Ventura is definitely someone who is known for not mincing his words, and he was pretty blunt when it came to this whole ordeal as well. Let's take a look at what he said.
Your article on September 11th appeared on the front page of the news website, the Huffington Post, only to promptly be removed. What do you think that was? Why did that happen? Fear, censorship?
Yeah. I can't believe the Huffington Post today will practice censorship. They asked me to be a contributing editor, and they said, write about anything you want. So it was the second time I did something, and they removed it. Well, I got news for them. I won't ever write for them again, and I know Ms. Huffington's always asking me, oh, you got to write for my paper, you got to write for it. Well, I got news for her. She just got her last article. I won't do a thing with the Huffington Post because I don't like it when people censor what I have to say.
Well, there you have it. Jesse Ventura told us that nothing like this has ever happened to him before, and he was really shocked by this, what he called really obvious censorship.
Anastasia, it looks like even 10 years after September 11th, almost, just questioning the official version of what happened seems to still be off limits in the mainstream media. What do you think?
Well, you know, Christine, that's a very good point you're making. Even though throughout these years, the numbers of people have really been growing, of people who are not fearing asking certain questions about what happened, who are not fearing to speak out about it. And we're seeing more and more public figures in the United States talking about it. And what they're saying is that they're not making any assumptions. They're just asking questions. And there's nothing wrong with that. But what we've been seeing is the mainstream media has, some of them more carefully, others more obviously, avoiding the coverage of the events of September 11th. And sometimes we're seeing, you know, anchors basically getting sort of visually fidgety when a guest brings up the issue of 9/11. Let's take a look at the comment that Jesse Ventura made to us about this.
You're often accused of scandalizing the events of 9/11. Can you sum up your position for us? And what do you say to those people who don't agree with what you say?
Scandalize it. All I do is ask questions. In this country, has it gotten, and that's what bugs me about 9/11. 9/11's an event you're not allowed to ask a question about.
Why do you think this topic is off limit?
Because clearly they don't want any questions on it. You know, right away, if you question what they told you about 9/11, they throw onto you you're unpatriotic. Well, I don't fear that.
Well, yeah, and that's exactly what happened to Jesse Ventura in this latest incident. And what we have to ask ourselves, and what he has been asking himself, is basically, is this just the first time, and will things get even worse?
And Anastasia, you were talking about how sometimes people get fidgety at the mention, and a lot of times, I mean, I know you went to this conference a few days ago. A lot of times what we see, especially on TV, the people questioning 9/11 seem to be a little eccentric, seem to be a little different. But now that we have Jesse Ventura, the former governor of Minnesota, I mean, this is a very public face on this matter. Do you see things changing now that this is happening?
Well, Christine, I have to say Jesse Ventura is also a pretty eccentric personality, but you're right. For the last couple of years, people have, those who don't agree with people questioning the events of 9/11 have really sometimes been trying to show them as sort of, you know, psycho and phony and calling them names, but we are seeing more public figures talk about this. You're right, Jesse Ventura is an American politician. He wasn't elected for just no reason, and more people have been speaking out about this. You know, renowned editors, journalists, and so on. So it's definitely just growing.
All right, Anastasia Churkina joining us from our New York studio.